All right then, I'm going to begin by paraphrasing a comment from the UT profile on the website. Someone wrote that the Ents officer does what class reps do and MCD organise the Trinity Bowl. Why do we need an Ents officer and what can you do to define it as necessary?
I think Trinity needs an Ents officer to basically facilitate the class reps, the societies, and whoever else just wants to organise their nights in terms of if they want to do fundraisers. People who don't necessarily have much involvement in Ents. So basically, I think there should be an Ents officer here to facilitate those people. And I think if there was no Ents officer, I think it'd leave the class reps and all the Trinity exposed to just outside promoters coming in and basically just exposing them. So I think Trinity Ents is probably one of the strongest students' union Ents in the country. Okay. So I think we should definitely keep that up.
On the subject then of outside promoters, seeing as students fund Ents at the opportunity cost of other services, what do you think of doing what UCD did and appointing an experienced management company to handle Ents rather than risk someone who's like essentially an amateur running nights that might have costs that might be too high?
Well, essentially an amateur, and in terms of myself, I've been involved in Ents for the past 2 years. I know the ins and outs of Ents. I think bringing an external promoter could be at the peril of the students themselves, because I mean they're in it for profit at the end of the day. That's what I mean. At the moment, the market is saturated out there with external promoters, the likes of Signature Group and Midnight Promotions. So I think Trinity Ents needs to stay strong, and I mean I think we should definitely just keep Trinity Ents inside Trinity and don't basically contract it out to anybody else, because I think we have something very strong here. I think we should build it up and work on it and progress into the long term, just so to benefit Trinity students for themselves.
Okay, cool. You said you've been involved in Ents a lot this year. Realistically, there's only been one consistent Ents night in Madhouse. How do you rate how Ents has performed this year?
I think Chris O'Connor has done a wonderful job this year, and I think the fact that he has focused on the one night, and it's become probably the biggest student night in Dublin, and which would lend itself to be the biggest in the country. From the outset, I'm going to basically the key thing on my manifesto is going to be diversity. So I'm going to run a night for freshmen, and I'm going to run a night for sophisters. I'm big into my plan for the sophister nights. Okay. I think that's going to draw a crowd from sophisters, and basically as well as the mainstream freshers night. I'd also like to get involved with promoters who know how to run other nights that basically cater for all the needs of all the individuals in Trinity. So maybe the likes of the promoters who do, I don't know, Law Society on a Tuesday or Workman's on a Wednesday, get involved in them, get in touch with them and see can we cater for all the individuals and not just the ones who your typical Madhouse goers on a Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, Madhouse, the venue of Madhouse was something like that came up last year. People didn't like the academy. Do you currently have the contacts within other clubs in Dublin to provide a diverse range of nights, or are you going to be sticking to the one night
No, absolutely not. I've been in Trinity Halls when I was JCR Ents officer in Trinity Halls in second year. Basically, the Trinity Halls don't run a weekly night, so it's my job to go out and scout around different clubs, and I ran over 20 nights, I think. In different nightclubs, between Christmas parties, hall ball, we had refreshers weekend, the orientation weekend was in 3 different nightclubs. Cool. Going forward in the refreshers, the first ever refreshers week, which was for charity, was in 5 different nightclubs. And I mean, we had Lily's Bordello, which I said was going to be a black tie event, and it got a bit messy. I think Eamon Dunphy was caught up with a couple of first years from Trinity Halls or whatever, but we had D2, we had every place in Dublin covered. So I'm going to bring those contacts forward, and that was just from second year. I'm working with Dubes now this year, and we've also used different clubs again, so I've got a lot of contacts built up.
So essentially you're going to abandon the model of having only one central night.
I think one essential night is good, and Chris O'Connor's done a great job in kind of promoting this brand. It's a huge brand now, but at the end of the day it is one night, and I'd like to kind of see, like I said before, the softer nights in a different nightclub, maybe on a Friday. I think softer nights are best suited to a Friday, where basically your lectures are done for the week and going on to the weekend, great start to the weekend. So I mean, do something like that on a Friday night. Also, I mean, it's in my manifesto that I want to basically cater for with class parties. I've done a lot of class parties this year. I got in touch with class reps. They've gotten back to me, basically saying that it's not viable for them to do a class party on a Wednesday night in Madhouse because they might have a 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning. So basically I want to have it in place that they can go onto our Facebook page or our website and just like click on class parties, how many people are coming, and then choose their night. So they can go from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they'll have like an Ents coordinated night. So we might be getting together with someone else, just so there is a night in place for each of those nights. But we will have our standard Wednesday and a standard Friday.
Cool. But a lot of these nights do make a lot of profit, and I've heard anecdotal evidence before of a previous Ents officer who lived for the year on the profits from a night out. Would you pocket anything from nights out?
No, absolutely not. And like I mean, like I think there is a stigma around Ents. It's well known that like yes, there's a certain stigma that there is a certain corruption or the likes in Ents. But I mean, I haven't seen. This is my first year in Trinity Ents, and I've seen no evidence of that at all.
Yeah, I mean, Chris hasn't taken anything, but previous guys have apparently. I guess it's all anecdotal, of course, but it's kind of a known practice that people take money from nights out. Essentially.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard of anybody in particular. I haven't heard that evidence, but I have heard it's well known about the stigma surrounding Ents. But I mean, like I think for myself and for the next Ents officer, if I am elected as Ents officer, I would like to make it a bit more transparent, and I think that might need to be in the form of releasing an annual report at the end of the year and just making it more transparent, just so it's easier for whoever else is looking at the position going next year, and also basically for the students of Trinity as well, just to see basically where the money's going.
Okay. Obviously you've got some plans, and there are things people do for entertainment outside of nightclubs. You talk in your manifesto about bring your own beer or booze, whatever you want to call it, about bowling and mountain biking. Why is it that Ents needs to involve alcohol in absolutely everything it does?
Well, it's only BYOB bowling, there's no BYOB mountain biking.
Okay, do you want me to ask that again then?
Yeah, sorry, okay.
Okay, you talk in your manifesto about a BYOB bowling. Why is it that Ents has to involve alcohol in this kind of thing?
Well, I don't think that Ents should involve alcohol and everything, and that's why in the manifesto I put in that we're going to have an Ents activity deal of the week, because I'm not up for taking on the meal deal of the week. I know that's going to be rampant in all of the campaign manifestos in this election. So what I want to propose is that we have an Ents activity deal of the week, and one of the things was BYOB bowling, but like I mean, if you don't want to bring beer and just come for bowling, that's fantastic.
Are you prepared to kind of broaden Ents' range beyond alcoholic activities?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to offer, the plan is to offer week 1 we possibly do maybe a cinema deal of the week, €3 cinema. Week 2 we go into maybe paintballing. Week 3 we do the bowling. Week 4 we do something like, I don't know, the Viking Splash Tour for a ridiculously low price for the Erasmus students or whatever. And then we're going to keep that rolling, and as the year goes on we're going to keep on rolling that out in circulation.
Cool. You talked to UT earlier in the year about finding an alternative venue to the PAV. Do you feel there's a desire among the student body for this?
I think the PAV is just like, I think it's an absolute, it's a Trinity, it's an institution within Trinity, and like I love the PAV. I love the PAV on a Friday, and like I mean during the summer there's nothing better than sitting out on the lawn in front of the PAV with like a couple of cans or whatever like that. But I mean just I think it's possibly, it could be a position, the Ents officer could coordinate with the PAV a lot better. And I think basically we could run in conjunction with each other and help each other out in terms of bookings. So if someone wants to hold a Wii tournament or something like that, that they go through the Ents officer and then we put it to the PAV, because at the end of the day, if it's the PAV taking the bookings, it's usually, I've heard a lot of feedback from people, and sometimes it can be overbooked and nobody enjoys it at all because it's absolutely packed, and then other days it's empty. So I mean, like it's a tough to strike a balance, but like I mean, I'm definitely up for coordinating with the PAV on that and just basically making it a lot more enjoyable for Trinity students.
Okay, but I mean, the tins on the grass, so to speak, it's kind of an institution in itself. Do you think you can draw people from the grass inside to these kind of events?
Inside to the PAV?
When people have chosen, in the summer, you can't really beat a cider outside. So
absolutely.
Will you be able to bring people in for a wee tournament in April?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to attract a lot more people to the PAV. So there will be the people who want to sit outside and there'll be the people who want to go inside. So I mean, we'll cater for everybody.
Fair enough. And just in terms of the campaign then, do you fear a Ron campaign to reopen nominations, and how are you going to deter those who may vote Ron just simply as a protest?
Absolutely. I mean, the campaign is not over yet, and I'm definitely not going to take my foot off the pedal. My foot off the pedal until it can be started again. That's not my words.
Yeah. Okay, do you fear a Ron campaign, and how do you plan to deter those who may just simply vote Ron as a protest?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously Ron is a big fear, but I'm not going to take my foot off the pedal until the campaign's over. I'm going to roll out the same campaign that I dreamt about before Christmas, and I'm going to put it all into action. The same campaign that we planned when we thought there was 2 and 3 people running against me. So it's going to be a good 2 weeks, and we're just going to roll it out as planned.
Okay, there's definitely no danger of complacency then?
Absolutely not, no.
Okay. One of the last things I've got is that you talk in your manifesto about making particular nights a reality. Do you think people will be persuaded by the promise that nights will happen, or tell them how you're going to do it and what connections and what practical logistics are involved in it? Is it enough to tell people that you'll make something a reality?
In terms of, is this the Trinity Warehouse project?
Yeah.
The Trinity Warehouse project at the moment it's at its ground level, but I've got huge faith. It's over in the UK. It's a massive phenomenon. They do it like 5 times, maybe over the course of. They do it every weekend, basically for 5 weeks in London, in alternative venues like warehouses and underground car parks and places like that. I'm looking to do it on a much smaller scale, like nowhere near the 20 to 40,000 people that they attract. Maybe 500 to 1,000 Trinity students in a warehouse behind the Vicar Street Theatre or somewhere like that. These places exist, and I think we can definitely use them, and we should be using them.
You've essentially been Chris's right-hand man this year, and while Chris was never particularly involved with Ents himself, Ents has a history of right-hand men running for the position and getting it and passing that on. Is there not a danger that Ents is becoming a bit cliquey and disconnected from students?
Well, I think if you look at the history of Ents officers going back a couple of years, I think that clique has been broken along the line. It's like in terms of last year's Ents race, it has been broken, and I mean, like, Ents should be about whoever wants to go for it should run, and I'm all about that. I want to bring in, there's going to be people, I've spoken to people who were on the opposing campaign last year, and they're all up for coming on board, so hopefully next year we're just going to have a mega Ents team, and whoever wants to run for Ents next year, I mean, absolutely go for it.
Okay.
It's all the different groups coming together.
Okay, obviously we've already talked about, probably my final question, we've already talked about, defeating the fear, I suppose, of a Ron campaign. Obviously you still have to get over that. What makes you a deserving candidate rather than the only candidate?
I'm going to roll out this campaign, and hopefully after the week and a half of campaigning, or whatever, maybe until the 16th, that people who were once basically unsure of whether to vote for me are going to definitely be sure. I'm organised, I'm innovative, I've been doing this for the past 2 years since I was in second year. I've got a huge basically spectrum of Ents. It's not just Trinity Ents that I've been working in. I was working out in the JCR, which is a complete different animal. It's excellent, gave me a load of experience. Then I came in on campus to Dubes, which is a society catering for the whole campus rather than just the 1,000 freshers out in the halls. So and now also I'm in Trinity Ents Exec. So I mean, like, I have a huge range of Ents and I've seen it all. I know what works. I'd like to think I know what people want to see on their nights out and in entertainment in general, not just drink related nights out. So I think that's what makes me a very worthy candidate for this position.